And Ellio do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of Stingray Media, its staff, or contributors. Callers to the program accept full responsibility for the views expressed. The show host and affiliates are not liable for any statements made or any harm claimed. All callers to the program indemnify Straight Talk from all claims. Offensive, defamatory, or unlawful content will not be tolerated. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Now, here's Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio on Bobo 103.1.
Good evening, K-Man. I'm your host, Austin Harris.
And myself, Ellio Solomon, and welcome here to Straight Talk. And of course, we got some news about this frequency thing, too, we got to share.
We certainly do. We certainly do. Got some great news for you. Starting today, you can pick up Bobo and, of course, Straight Talk on 103.1 FM, our new frequency, ensuring broader coverage across all three Cayman Islands. We're excited about this. And of course, the new frequency obviously takes effect today, but you can still pick us up on 89.1 for about a month. But you want to forget 89.1 and you want to save in your radio dial right now 103.1 FM, the new
Start
frequency
switching
for Bobo FM, and of course your favorite Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio. How are you, buddy? I trust you had a good weekend. That sounds devious to say the least.
No, it just means it's, just another great weekend. What can I say? It's a great weekend. Today was a big day. Don't focus on me, Austin. Who am I?
Who are you?
You know that song, Who Am I?
Who am I?
Yeah.
Anyway, Zimmer.
Zimmer. Anyway, don't focus on me. Today was a big day. Today was nomination day, in case people missed it. Maybe you're busy working and didn't realize it. But today was the day for persons to decide whether they were running in this election. Austin and I think we're both planning on running. But we were short about $50.
We were short about $50, right at 2:30. Of course, the deadline was 3 o'clock, and we just couldn't raise it no matter how hard we tried.
So we said, screw that. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. And went somewhere else. Anyway, just a little bit of humor, something to talk about. But it was nomination today, yes. Nomination day. Austin, have you been paying attention to the results? I'm pretty sure you do more of that focus.
I have been, actually, and hopefully, as we get closer to 5 o'clock,
you can chat a little bit about
share the list of persons who stood for nomination today, and of course, we'll be challenging and vying for your vote on April 30th. But yeah, no, I guess we could constitute that as good news, but we're going to leave that separate for the main topic because it is rather significant. Some more good news.
Yeah.
Some guests coming up this week.
Kudos to you, buddy.
Tomorrow, you will recall, of course, we were both shocked, as so should the listening audience, by the article that appeared, I think, maybe a week and a half ago in the Cayman Compass, that the
number of young persons in suicide.
Youth mental health hits crisis point. Well, we will have the opportunity tomorrow, with the assistance of local psychiatrist, and certainly respected psychiatrist in the Cayman Islands, Dr. Mark Lockhart, will be our guest here in studios as of 5 p.m., from 5 to at least 6 p.m., and he'll be in studios with us to help us understand this alarming youth mental health crisis, what perhaps might be sitting at some of the root causes, and more importantly, how do we identify it in our young people, and how do we help? So I think tomorrow will be a very serious conversation, Ellio.
Well, again, it should be a very good discussion. I think it's a topic that all of us, I think, it hit us hard. I mean, at least for me, it's like that was really shocking.
It was.
And I think we're all looking for answers, and not that necessarily he's going to probably have all the answers. He's probably going to be a little bit of a quandary as well. But either way, I'm pretty sure he's a bit more aware of things than the average person. So we look forward to having that discussion tomorrow with Dr. Lockhart.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for reaching out to him and thank him for agreeing to do so.
Yeah,
it should be a great discussion.
We're very pleased by that opportunity, and we look forward to our discussion with Dr. Lockhart tomorrow, starting at 5 p.m. right here on Straight Talk. Then, well, of course, Wednesday, as I discovered today, is a public holiday. It's Ash Wednesday.
Another holiday.
Another holiday. We have far too many holidays. You agree?
No, it's crazy.
It is. It's nuts.
Try being a business owner.
I tell you.
Every day you turn around, it's Saturday, it's Sunday, it's Good Friday, it's Monday.
It's Monday already. Yeah, so Wednesday is a public holiday. If you don't have any plans, then hopefully you will be going to the agricultural pavilion. I don't miss the days of us working on crosstalk, specifically
Going
for
out
Rooster,
there?
because working for Rooster, at the time they owned the country's
used to go
only
there.
country station. It was, a kind of prerequisite requirement. You had to be there on
Absolutely.
Wednesday.
Yeah, it was a requirement.
It was, and not only was the drive and the traffic a bit of a headache, but it never rained
I remember
on
that.
Ash Wednesday. The sun always hit its hottest apex of the year, and it shone down on
Right in our tent.
always.
Of course.
Always. So every year that passes that I'm no longer with the old station, it's a point of celebration for me, because now I get to go by choice as opposed to by requirement. But certainly, if that's your thing, and there's no reason why it shouldn't be, it's a grand
Yeah, it's a good
affair.
thing. It's a good thing.
It's a really good day. And if you don't mind a little traffic, you don't mind a little heat, don't mind a little dust, don't mind the little robust smell of cattle and other farm creatures, then by all means, it's the place for you. But we'll still be here in studios. We will still be working, still plodding away, bringing you, hopefully, useful information.
Well,
on
I
Wednesday.
enjoyed going to the what do you call it? Agriculture ground.
Yes,
Is that what they called it?
the agricultural pavilion.
Yeah,
Well, they used to call it
it used to be-
agricultural ground,
used
like
to be-
cricket, right,
right.
where the
Used to
cricket
be
field.
agriculture ground. I
Yes.
went there from time I was a kid.
Yes.
I'll never forget, actually, there was a bicycle, beautiful bicycle. And I remember as a kid, I'm just standing there staring and I'm fixated. I'm like, I want that bike. Kids get like that, right? I want that bike. Anyway, I used to like going to the agriculture show, because lately when I would go with the country and with Rooster 101, I'd end up chatting with my good friend Robert Crutchlow and trying my rusty Bayesian accent, which didn't always impress him.
No.
And then it's a good time to try to see if I could pull out a good country song.
But you did a good Bayesian accent.
I did a pretty decent,
Still
pretty
do
decent.
a good Bayesian
Yeah.
accent. I must admit, I can't. I struggle with it. But
Yeah.
you and my brother, you guys can do that all the time.
Oh, your brother does it too?
Yeah, he does it as well, and I can't quite get it. So that's better.
Come on, Austin, you got to get your Bayesian accent.
I got to work on my bit. Well, you're around now, so you're going to help me with that. So Wednesday's a public holiday. Thursday, we will have another guest in studios, and those of you who obviously are regular listeners to Straight Talk, you will know that we kind of hinted at who that guest would be on Friday when he called in, as he's a regular caller to the program, a regular listener to the program. We're most grateful for it. But Mr. Mario Ebanks, who's a human resource specialist, the holder of a master's degree, and certainly is a most knowledgeable person in terms of workforce development. He will join us in studios to help us discuss in detail the Immigration Transition Act 2022 white paper. That is what we've been talking about, some of the recommendations to perhaps, again, bring back some of the policies that were seen in the rollover policy, in particular. Persons, particularly foreign nationals leaving a job, have to leave the island for a year, pushing the period for, I think, well, we'll go over it tomorrow, on Thursday rather.
Yeah.
But a number of different recommendations. Haven't really found one that's new yet, but a lot of them are, perhaps rules that were in place before.
Or newly packaged.
Newly packaged, right.
New tape on it.
We proposed it. We found it didn't work in operation, so we took it away. And now we're going back there again because we haven't come up with something else in its place. But I guess that's why they call it a discussion paper. Maybe the government's hoping that, we'll find an alternative way of saying pretty much what they've repackaged, and they'll be thrilled with that. In any event, it almost feels like it could be a wasted exercise discussing this white paper, but I feel that it won't be, because whilst we won't see any action on the white paper until after the next general election, surely it depends on who would win the government and whether they believe immigration reform is important, and therefore will they pick up the white paper and the public consultation that has taken place so far, or will they scratch it and start with something brand new?
Yeah.
With
And if we as general public, make enough noise, I'm pretty sure we can get some changes in there too. I mean, at the end of the day, there are representatives. They should, and most likely will be somewhat responsive to what the public is saying.
Absolutely.
I hope.
Well, I, for one, am vying for, jobs for Caymanians to be, actually enacted this time around.
Yeah, I'm pushing for that too.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I mean, this brilliant person proposed it in, Parliament.
Well,
at least 8 years ago. It's been on the books for a while, and I don't know what.
And even if you don't want to say the guy was brilliant, at least say pretty brilliant idea.
It was a good idea.
No, but we really need that. I mean, you can't tell me that we can't find one category of jobs that we should have for Caymanians only. And in fact, we're kind of doing it, but just nobody wants to label it. Maybe, I don't know, because we got politicians that are there. We got some of these businesses like the tour operators, etc. Certain things you have to be. You want to be Caymanian,
right?
Well, let's just label it.
Quite
Say
right.
what it is.
Quite right. Well, again, on Thursday, day after Ash Wednesday, Mario Ebanks will be our guest. We'll be taking on that subject. We will be going through it for those of you who perhaps need it to be summarized to you, haven't looked at it, or maybe some of you have looked at it and want to join the conversation. We will be doing our part in the public consultation phase to make sure at least our listeners certainly have a thorough understanding of what the white paper calls for. And again, with the help of our guests, we will try to determine what's a keeper, what perhaps we could do without, and again, maybe even some alternative solutions to the proposals at the same time. So
when you said all that keeper stuff, I kind of just saw like a shredding machine. The whole thing is going in there.
Well, that was
I'm sorry. That's
quick work.
That's what kind of went through my mind there.
This is what I think of this consultation paper. It should start again.
So they didn't even leave spaces that you could tear it and write notes on it. So shred the thing. I just say shred the whole damn thing.
I love how your brain works. I really do.
So either way, I want to remind persons, you're listening to us on 89.1 most likely, but here's an opportunity to just go forward. Try it. Try it right now, 103.1. Try it.
Yep.
And if you still hear us, kind of press the button, hold it in for a while till your radio saves it.
Saves it, that's right.
We're going to be found at 103.1, and again, the change happens today. You got to try to change it from 89.1 because at some point in time, next 2, 3, 4 weeks max, it's going to shut off.
Yes.
103.1 allows us to be able to reach the sister islands, whereas our reach before probably stopped up in Savannah or something. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, Sister Islands, and of course, there are also some of the eastern districts in Grand Cayman as well. It's a new transmitter on steroids, and I'm told it's the next best thing.
Okay.
So I'm just thrilled that everyone in the Cayman Islands, which are 3 islands, should
can
be
hear
able
us.
to tune us in and pick us up every evening. That makes my day.
Remember when Mr. Dolan Hunter used to call us all the time?
All the time to remind us.
Number one from the This is number one from the Brock.
You're not broadcasting up here, he would say. Or he would be the voice to say, yep, I got you loud and clear.
Right. So if you got some friend or family in the Brock, Little Cayman, please give them a shout. Let them know to tune into 103.1 and they can listen to us now.
Absolutely. They certainly can. And if they can't,
let us know.
Let us know as a matter of priority. We're going to get right on that.
Austin served me in a red cup today. I don't know
did.
about this.
Well, you know what? I thought about that when I opened the cupboard, and they were all red. I think there's a bit of a.
I'm just checking. Because it is nomination day, and you have a history, Austin.
I do have a history.
I'm just saying.
I would dare say so to you, but you switched since then.
That was his 205. That was 205. I was a PPM.
209. You were green, so
Yeah.
Who knows? Now you're lavender.
No, I'm purple, blue, different color.
That was another team, but we won't mention that.
No, I wasn't. I was never on the purple team.
No, you were never.
That was PNR. A friend of mine and I were sitting and chatting and saying, some of these people have jumped on every single train that there was. It's like independent PPM.
I'm gonna wait till I swallow the coffee before you say them.
Hey, listen,
that's true though.
You got to pay attention, Austin.
That's true though. Some of the candidates have worn a few colors, flown a few flags,
played all the instruments.
They have certainly played all the instruments.
By the way, our friend, not calling any names, please don't call any names. We have a bell now, by the way.
We have a bell.
Oh yes, and I don't know why I forgot that bell today. But I can assure you, starting tomorrow, I'm going to bring that bell,
All right. Well, thank you to the friend who will remain nameless for the moment
for
providing us with our first sound effect. and that'll be a bell. 4:47 is the time in studios, and as those of you who have stuck with us, now we're in our actual fourth week. By Friday will be exactly 1 month that we have been broadcasting live on Bobo at 4:30 to 6:30 as part of your evening drive. But those of you who have tuned in all of that time, we like to start off the first half hour with a little bit of banter, bit of good news whenever we can find it. And I think we have found some good news from the media today. The stayover arrivals for January are out, and they show a 7.7% increase, making it the second best January in recorded history and setting the pace for a strong 2025. The total stayover guests as of January stood at 41,418 persons coming in for the month of January. The number of visitors from the United States continued to show steady growth, increasing by 8.8% compared to last year, with visitor numbers from the Northeast, Midwest, and the southern parts of the U.S. all increased, largely as a result of the growth in airline capacity in the key markets of Miami via American Airlines, Boston via JetBlue, and Chicago via United Airlines. There have also been some new flights added to the schedule, Orlando via Southwest and Minneapolis-St. Paul via Delta Airlines. Canada also remained a key market, with visitor numbers increasing by 10.3% compared to January 2024, representing more than 10% of the total stayover arrivals for the month this year. However, arrivals from the motherland, the United Kingdom and Ireland, declined by 7.7%, and the number of visitors from the rest of Europe also fell by 6.6%.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know. I can only imagine that, you got UK elections in there. People are less likely to travel and want to stay closer to home. I don't know. They didn't give any reasons as to why we're seeing a decline in European travel. Well,
see, again,
the rate aircraft are falling out of the sky these days. I wouldn't blame a lot of folks for staying home, period. I mean, there was just a ridiculous amount of plane crashes in the last few months. That though experts still say that air travel is still one of the safest ways of traveling, period, despite the frequency of accidents we've seen in recent months.
The safest way to travel is on a ship.
Is it?
Yeah, but we're not going to go there today.
We're not going to go there?
No, we're not going to go there today. You're not going to drag me there today.
You can go there. You can go there.
I will be going there.
The ship ties up at a
I will be going
maybe?
there pretty soon. But actually, when I first started talking about all this cruise stuff, I did some research, and I don't want to talk about, the negatives on the numbers, because I'm not discouraging persons from flying. It is a very safe way to go.
Sure.
But, arguably, safe on the ship.
Sea is still the safest way to go.
Absolutely.
All right, fantastic. Well,
you check.
You heard it here first. Well, I will check it out.
You check the number.
I will check it out.
I know you. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if the shoe was on the other foot, I'd say, so where did you where did you glean that information from? Was that a website or a newspaper clipping?
It's a very good question you're asking.
Somebody for proof.
You're a very good question you're asking. Actually, at the time when I searched it, I think I did one of those Chat GPT moves.
Oh, cool.
I don't know how involved you are with the AI. You're trying that out? This is Austin.
I hear so much about it. My son tells me about it, but I haven't actually downloaded it to try it yet.
Austin,
I'm behind the
I got to get you up to speed.
I tell you, technology intimidates me.
This is like Google on steroids.
Wow.
It's like
Chat GPT. I've heard about it.
Yeah, this would be like Google 5.0 or something.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. This is.
Do you have it on your phone?
Yeah, I do. I'm using the free version. I don't pay for it. You know me, cheapo.
So what do you use it for?
No, but I mean, first of all, things like that can make you lazy, right? But it's not making me lazy, because I love to learn.
Yes.
So I'm not just saying, hey, give me all the answers. But you can pretty much ask it whatever. In this particular case, you could sit and say, give me the entire history of, deaths on cruise ships or ships versus planes.
Right. And it'll just spit it out for you.
That's it.
Wow.
I'm sure that somebody's just sitting there saying, can you type me an essay, because I don't feel like doing one.
Yes, that's what I heard as well. That it's kind of been used by particularly kids in high school that don't want to be, write book essays. They use Chat GPT and voila, it's done.
But that would be like a real simplification of its purposes. I mean, it is a really good research tool. can help you do things. You know, I mean, even starting off with the basics, right?
Yeah.
You could sit and say, I have a sentence here. Is this grammatically correct? And
Right.
it can tell you, no, that is not grammatically correct. This is
Okay.
the correct. You know, if you want to learn, it can really teach you.
All right.
And that's what I would encourage people to do. Use it to learn something.
Well, I will make you a commitment. I will download ChatGPT before the end of this week.
But you don't have to even download it. This is a kind of free version. You just kind of log on, and you start to get your, again, unless you want to pay for it. That's fine. I mean, I know how wealthy you are. You know, I don't want it.
Yeah.
I was probably spreading, getting the facts out here now.
That's it. Tell the world. Yes. Yes.
You know, it's like
Yes, yes.
He's
If $5 and
You know,
a few
coming-
pennies is wealthy,
coming
I'm
in with that
your
little
guy.
cheap pair of plastic shoes that he bought from a Chinese shop. You know, trying to pretend.
And then they
you know,
work. You know, they're environmentally friendly, is what they are.
degradable plastic.
Degradable. Quite right.
Yeah, but the thing is, you gotta try it out for those who are listening.
Yeah.
I don't want all of our listeners falling behind. You gotta try this all out. You know,
Okay.
ChatGPT, get on the AI thing. Don't make it make you lazy or lazier.
Okay.
But if you really use it as a learning tool, it's total awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, it has to help you.
All right. Fantastic. Well, I will check it out.
I'll help you. I'll hold your hand.
Do that. Thanks. I appreciate it. It looks like we got a caller on the line. Let's see if we can take the phone lines. Good evening, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, Ellio.
Hello.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
I'm good.
This is awesome. This is Kenneth.
Oh, I thought it was you, but I wasn't sure. I needed you to talk more just so I can go, that sounds like somebody we know.
Hey, you know what I was.
Yeah. I'm so sorry, man. Today was such a hectic day. I just said, you know how much I want to support your show because I think it's probably the best balanced show so far
Thank
in
you.
respect to the banter between the both of you. So I'm doing everything I possibly can to make sure I keep on keeping in tune and keep
appreciate
you
it.
guys.
Congratulations to you today. Today must have been a busy day for you today.
Well, I was going to say, first of all, before we get on to that, Mr. Brian, all you would have to do is get half of your supporters to support the show, and then that would be good for us, right?
That's right. Just half. Just half. We don't want to be greedy. We'll just take half and we'll be thrilled.
Well, you know what? I am going to forward the show right now to
Right.
all my constituents
Fantastic.
so they can tune in. You know,
perfect.
I really want to build you guys up.
Perfect.
So,
You're a
Perfect.
gentleman and a scholar, Mr. Brown.
So now, what could have made you busy today? I mean, what could have happened today on March the 3rd that could have kept you busy?
There's this thing called nomination, which is the most important thing in your life.
Yeah, yeah.
You know. But today was a wonderful day. I know we've been doing a little bit of banter here, but today was extremely a wonderful day. You guys know that I am a part of the PPM again.
Congrats.
And
Congratulations.
thank you so much. Since the last time I was on the show with you, I've also been nominated or selected as the deputy leader of the party.
Wow,
Awesome.
that was
Awesome.
quick. Congratulations, buddy. They must see talent, boy. They must recognize it when they see it.
Yeah, and I appreciate the selection by the leader and supported by the group because, you know, we have to change some of the past history perception of the party, and this gives me more ability to say, listen, the change is real. You know, believe in it. You have a new leader, you have a new deputy, and we're going to take all of those positives that the progressives had and add on to the youth and the new approach to be able to offer something different. Because, you know, what I probably think is the biggest issue for us is, you know, well, you were there. How do you know we're going to get it done? Because you didn't do this. You know, which is fair. You know, everybody will have the criticism of our administration,
Right.
but you know, at the very least, they have proven stable leadership that they've had before.
Right.
It's about the commitment now to say, yes, the things that are matter to you, we will address them, and that will come out in our progressives, the PPM manifesto when we do the launch. But I didn't want to come in and steal, election time because I know you're charging a fee and everybody should pay for it because you need to pay your bills too. But I just wanted to say, guys, thank you so much for continuing to do your show. And yes, I've been nominated again to do Georgetown Central.
Fantastic.
And I'm excited. I'm so excited to continue to work for my people in Georgetown Central because I got my running shoes on.
All right.
So I'm ready to race. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, sir.
Well, Mr. Brian, again, we're wishing you the best. Again, I know a little bit of that history. I'm pretty sure a few other persons have been tracking you as well. Again, as one of those PPM members that left, now you've come back, you've settled back in, and again, in addition to that, you have a new promotion. That is just an awesome story, and I really wish you the best of luck. in this campaign.
Sure, indeed. Likewise.
And we are inviting. I think I kind of reached out to the leader today, Mr. Joe Hugh, and asked him to see if he wants to come here on the program as well. So maybe you can just, strike a little match or something.
Yeah, recommend to him that it isn't as painful as many people would otherwise think it will be.
Well, what I'm thinking about doing is actually trying to bring my whole squad in the studio. It's going to be interesting because it's in the evening and everybody's going to have commitments and stuff like that. But maybe what we can do for our launch, which is this Saturday coming up, and obviously launches start around 6:37.
Yeah.
So maybe we can come give you guys the first hour.
We'd love that. We'd love that. You know our numbers, buddy. Give us a call and we'll make it happen.
All right. Well, I won't take up all the show. I just want to say thanks. Keep up the great work. And big shout out to GTC and all the voters in there and all the people who live in it. Love you guys. And thank you so much for having me to call in.
And I'm going to check your page, see if you sent that out now.
Yeah, sure. There you go. Well, it is 4:58 in studios. And that, of course, was Kenneth Bryan, the Minister of Tourism, obviously now candidate for the 2025 general election on being nominated. When we come back, we will go down the list of the some 53 candidates, according to my list, who have put themselves forward to vie for the 19 seats available. But we do have to pause, take a short commercial break, check in with the BBC News. But don't change that dial. Keep it locked to 103.1 Bobo FM. More Straight Talk is on the way next.
Bobo FM. We're making Bobo FM bigger and better. We've got a brand new frequency with even more power. Retune your FM radio to 103.1 now. This is Bobo FM, the home of the BBC World Service, the most trusted news source in the world. Now in our new home of 103.1 FM. This is Bobo 103.1.
BBC News.
BBC News.
World news from the BBC. Violent clashes.
Thick black smoke.
A tremendous legal victory.
Crucial elections.
Destructive wind.
A search and recovery
A
operation.
race against time.
An imminent threat.
Flying a drone over a rival team's training session.
Whatever is happening, wherever it's happening, catch up with the latest news bulletins from the BBC.
The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo FM.
For business, they say location, location, location. But really, there's no better location than right here, right now on your mobile phone or laptop. Buy and sell your pre-owned gear where the island is searching online. Buy and sell on ektrade.com. That's ektrade.com.
Across Cayman on 103.1 FM, online, and on your smart speaker. Powered by Health Services Authority. The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo 103.1.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
Hello, I'm Eileen McHugh with the BBC News. Donald Trump has said President Zelensky must be more appreciative, but he denied reports that he was considering ending military support for Ukraine. Mr. Trump was speaking in Washington 3 days after the furious row in the White House in which Mr. Zelensky was accused of not being thankful for U.S. help. Here's our North America correspondent, Nomia Iqbal.
President Trump and his top advisors have continued to harshly criticize the wartime leader, even suggesting he should stand down. After Mr. Zelensky told reporters over the weekend the war is still very, very far away, President Trump described it as the worst statement that could have been made by Zelensky, going on to say that America will not put up with it for much longer. However, Mr. Trump also said he doesn't think a minerals deal is dead and said he'd have more to say on Tuesday night.
President Trump has said there's no chance for Mexico and Canada to prevent 25% tariffs on exports to the United States from coming into effect on Tuesday. He also said he'd signed an order to increase tariffs on China from 10 to 20%. U.S. stock markets fell after his comments. The authorities in Germany say they do not suspect that a man believed to have carried out a deadly car ramming in the southwestern city of Mannheim acted out of extremist or religious motives. The suspect is a 40-year-old German from a neighbouring city. Bethany Bell reports from Mannheim.
The main pedestrian shopping streets in Mannheim are cordoned off and quiet. There's a heavy police presence. It was here just after midday that a car drove at speed into people who were out enjoying a sunny day. The State Interior Minister Thomas Strobel said the vehicle had been used as a kind of weapon. Prosecutors say the suspect is in hospital with a self-inflicted gunshot wound, but is in a stable condition. Germany's Chancellor Olaf Scholz described it as a senseless act of violence.
The US First Lady Melania Trump has given her support to a bill making revenge porn a federal crime and forced tech companies to remove such items from their platforms quickly. The Take It Down bill also seeks to punish people who threaten to publish such images. From Washington, here's Gary O'Donoghue.
Online safety is a long-standing interest for the First Lady, and she went to Capitol Hill with a simple message. The legislation would help to safeguard America's youth. The bill before Congress will also require social media companies to take down any such intimate imagery within 48 hours. It's already passed the Senate with bipartisan support and now needs to go through the House before landing on the President's desk for signing.
Gary O'Donoghue. World News from the BBC. The Vatican says Pope Francis suffered 2 episodes of acute respiratory failure on his 18th day in a Rome hospital, where he's been treated for pneumonia. A statement said the Pope, who's 88, has been put back on mechanical ventilation. Vatican sources stress that the Pope's condition remains complex and his doctors remain cautious. The UN has accused M23 rebels of abducting at least 130 people from hospitals in Goma in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. A spokeswoman for the UN's Human Rights Office said the Rwandan-backed rebels who captured the city claimed the patients were members of the DRC's army or pro-government militias. Israel says its Air Force has struck a military site in northwest Syria because of what it described as recent developments in the area. An army statement said the site in Kardaha stored weapons belonging to the previous Syrian regime. Scientists studying the world's most powerful ocean current, which circles Antarctica, have warned it could slow down as melting ice sheets dilute it with fresh water. The Antarctic Circumpolar Current transfers vast amounts of cold seawater into the Atlantic, Indian and Pacific Oceans, as Richard Howells explains.
The huge cooling current which goes clockwise around Antarctica plays a major role in global climate patterns. The chilled Antarctic Ocean acts as a barrier, keeping warm water away from icebound Antarctica. But a team of international researchers using a supercomputer have revealed that if global warming continues over the next 25 years, the current's strength could decline by up to 20%. They warned that such a serious slowdown would have major effects, including more severe climate instability in other parts of the world and a reduction in the Antarctic Ocean's capacity to absorb carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas.
BBC News.
The views and opinions expressed on Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of Stingray Media, its staff, or contributors. Callers to the program accept full responsibility for the views expressed. The show host and affiliates are not liable for any statements made or any harm claimed. All callers to the program indemnify Straight Talk from all claims. Offensive, defamatory, or unlawful content will not be tolerated. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Now, here's Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio on Bobo 103.1.
And welcome back, man. I'm your host, Austin Harris.
And I'm Ellio Solomon. And welcome back to Straight Talk with your two favorite talk show hosts, Austin and myself.
That's right.
Ellio
Broadcasting
Solomon.
to you live.
What?
On Bobo 103.1 FM. Again, reminding our listening audience, if you're just tuning in, we've got a brand new frequency to tell you all about. Forget the old one. Just remember 103.1 FM is the new frequency.
Right.
Louder, broader, stronger, making sure we are broadcasting all across at every corner of our beloved 3 Cayman Islands. So if you got a radio or you got us on streaming, you can pick us up no matter where you are on this island or even, dare say, in the world.
So I want to encourage you again, if you're on 89.1 right now listening to us, you can actually utilize both, but 89.1 is probably going to disappear in a couple of weeks. So change it right now to 103.1 and share the good news with all your friends and family, as many persons as you can. And of course, especially those out there in the sister islands, they can now hear us on 103.1. And we got to check up and see if Mr. Brian has shared this thing, you know.
That's right.
We got to let him slack off.
No, can't let him slack off. Well, you know, I tend to take the young man at his word.
Yeah, I definitely think you will.
I'm sure he's going to be great. And it would be wonderful if we can host the leader of the Progressives as our first, well, not the first, our second political guest on the program. That would be certainly a welcomed opportunity, and I hope you'll say yes. 745-2626 is the number to the phone lines. If you want to call in, add your voice to the conversation. Looks like somebody's already doing so. We got a caller on the line, Ellio. Let's see if we can take that call. Good evening, caller. You're on the air.
Good evening. How you guys doing?
Very well, thank you. And yourself? Thank you for the call.
I'm giving thanks.
Wonderful.
I have no doubt. I know Mr. Vine is going to do well again. And I want to personally congratulate him. And I think he's going to do very good, honestly.
All right.
And I believe so much of them out there who are running are wasting their $1,000, honestly speaking. They're wasting their money. Why waste money in these hard times?
Tell you what, boy, if you got it to burn, I suppose that's the way to go, but you're right.
They're wasting it. I'm telling you, and they go on different media saying this and that, but honestly, Mr. Brand, he just like, he take lips and the man just know how to do his work. You know, so I want to wish him all the best.
Wonderful.
And, you know, and I wish when the others candidate are campaigning, talk about what the country, what the people want, and don't be dragging people in rabbit hole and saying foolishness. You know what I mean? Keep
Absolutely.
it positive.
Indeed.
Keep it positive.
Yes, quite right.
That's my 2 cents for the evening.
Thank you so very much for sharing that.
Actually, every evening I'm so excited for 4:30.
All right.
Yes.
Thank
and when you guys are working, I was the one who called and said, "Oh, the radio's not working. I can't hear Austin."
I appreciate it. I appreciate that.
I'm
Very helpful.
enjoying every moment.
Well, thank you. You sound like a new caller to the program. We appreciate it.
Oh, yes.
All right.
I'm in class. Don't worry.
You're in class. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much, ma'am. We do
Have
appreciate
a good evening. I'm
You do-
listening.
All right. God bless you. Again, another happy customer.
Can't
Very
beat
thrilled.
that.
Can't beat that at all. 745-2626 is the number. If you want to call in, share your comments or opinions with us, or even a question or two, the phone lines are open. In addition to broadcasting live over Bobo 103.1 FM, we're also simulcasting live over YouTube and streaming on Instagram vis-a-vis the Rec Room 345. You can get us on both of those platforms right now, automatically on your handheld, and hopefully soon come, we'll be on Facebook. You want to tell them, or shall I?
What was that?
The Facebook challenge. If we just leave
Oh
it
yeah,
as a
yeah.
challenge.
We got to be in the spirit of transparency.
In the full spirit
We've
of
got to
trans-
do these things.
We do.
So first of all, we want to give you a little bit of update. I mean, we are broadcasting live on YouTube, and I'd be trying to send out that link every day. Help spread the word. That's number one.
Yes.
And on the Facebook side, we needed 100 followers. We got that. We want to thank you big time for helping us to reach that 100 plus. It's gone well over that now, but that was one of the requirements. The other requirement is that we need a 60-day wait period. I have no idea what they're trying to do.
Yes.
But we have to wait 60 days apparently before we can go ahead and start streaming out live. Meta have obviously put out a pile of new rules, and I'm aware of that from another website that I have been dealing with as well. But after that 60 days, which means we probably got about 30 plus days left, then we'll be able to be picked up on Facebook.
Yes.
And we're looking forward to that because Facebook, amongst other things, allows us to really boost it out, reach the 20,000+ persons that are in the country. And we're just waiting.
No.
We're biding our time now.
We are, absolutely. Well, so again, Instagram, YouTube is still popular. Facebook is king in this country as a social media option.
Yeah.
We've been getting a lot of requests from persons to, when are you going to be streaming? When are you going to be streaming? We really thought that after we got the first hurdle of 100 followers that we would be able to broadcast the very next day. But when we tried it, we got another requirement.
Another hurdle.
So another 30 days before we can...
It's like a Caymanian in the workplace. You know?
That's right. It is. Just when you think
Just
you've reached
when
the
you
plateau.
you thought you had arrived.
That's right.
They throw another hurdle for
Another hurdle, another glass ceiling in front of you.
So you know what we're going through.
Yes, exactly. It's painstaking, but as soon as we can get our broadcast, simulcast live over Facebook, believe me, you'll be the first to know. So I did promise prior to the break that we would take a look at what the nomination schedule and outcome was today. We got, according to my count, Ellio, we have 53 candidates vying for some 19 seats. So with your permission, I'm just going to sort of go through the list.
You know, I want to take this opportunity to insert there on the whole issue about jobs for Caymanians, because you made a brilliant statement earlier on. But let me just show you again. There is a job for Caymanians only. It's called running for parliament, being a parliamentarian. And you can see you're not short of competition, Austin.
Not at all.
Right?
Not at all.
53 vying for 19 seats.
Yes, quite right.
Okay.
All right, so starting at the top of the chart, again, this constituency breakdown comes directly from the elections office, elections.ky. So if anyone asks, why do you start there and not somewhere else? Well, this is where it is on the election site, so we're going to just follow that lead. Starting in West Bay West, of course, the incumbent in West Bay West, the former Premier McKeeva Bush, he will be running for re-election, and he will face off against the candidate for the Cayman Islands National Party, Miss Julie Hunter. Only two candidates vying for one seat in West Bay West, and there it is, Julie Hunter versus McKeeva Bush. Then on to West Bay North. West Bay North, ironically enough, this is a seat that previously was held by Bernie Bush. He has decided to step down or not run for re-election, but he has bequeathed his seat, his heir apparent, to none other than his daughter, Shekinah Bush. Is the new candidate. That her nomination and her certainly notice of her intention to stand for election only came up over the weekend. So Shekinah Bush will be running in West Bay North. She will face former Education Minister Ralston Anglin, who will be making a comeback in the 2025 general elections. And both of those, Mr. Anglin, is running so far as an independent, but that might change in the next month or so. We don't know. So
there's only two of them?
No, there's one more.
Okay.
Jordan Rivers, speaking of which, the son of our good friend the Lion, who called up. Jordan will be running also with the Cayman Islands National Party in West Bay North. So West Bay North so far is a three-person race between Jordan Rivers of the CINP, Ralston Anglin, and Shekinah Bush, both of whom are independent. Then on to West Bay Central, we have two candidates vying for election. We have the incumbent former Minister Catherine Ebanks Wilkes. She, representing, of course, the Caymanian Community Party, or TCCP, she will go up against independent candidate Jewel Hides for West Bay Central. West Bay South almost made the incumbent Andre Ebanks run unopposed until our very good friend Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, the host of Talk Today, threw his hat in the independent category. So West Bay South is also a two-man race. Andre Ebanks, the incumbent, up against Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. Georgetown North was also a very similar situation, potentially, which would have had the leader of the Progressives, Mr. Joey Hugh, running uncontested, but also, I think over the weekend, Romelia Welcome declared her intention to.
I was just showing that today.
Yeah, I actually thought it was actually going to be. My list this morning had Mr. Hugh, running uncontested, and then somebody sent me the same details on Romelia. So Georgetown North will be also a two-man race: Joey Hugh versus Romelia Welcome. Georgetown Central, certainly a very active constituency battle. We just heard from the incumbent, Kenneth Bryan. He will go up against Miss Carmen McField of the Cayman Islands National Party and Mr. Anthony Ramon with the Caymanian Community Party, or TCCP. So I think that is a three-person race in Georgetown Central. I don't have any other UPM or independent members in that category. But certainly, if my list somehow is incomplete and you're listening to us here this evening, by all means, share details on where I may have missed a spot, but I think I've gotten them all. Georgetown West, yes, Georgetown West also a very hotly contested constituency. Georgetown West has been left vacant by MP David White, who decided not to stand for re-election. But standing in his stead with the PPM will be Perlina McGaw-Lumsden. She will go up against Mr. Craig Marin of the Cayman Islands National Party and Miss Patricia Bryan, which I believe is the sister of Mr. Kenneth Bryan. Patricia Bryan will be taking on Perlina and Craig Marin. And then finally, we have Hunter Walton. So we have 4 candidates vying for the Georgetown West seat. Up for grabs. That should be a very hotly contested constituency. Moving on to Georgetown South. Georgetown South, we also have a 3-man race. We have, of course, again, Georgetown South. Previously, incumbent was Miss Barbara Connolly, the deputy leader of the opposition. She announced her intention to step down, not seek re-election, but certainly bequeath the seat to Mr. Craig Frederick, Craig, a.k.a. Festa, as he is more locally known. He will compete against Mr. Gary Ruddy of the Cayman Islands National Party, and the two of them will compete against...
A.K.A. Peanut.
A.K.A. Peanut, that's right. Don't forget. Thank you very much. And then, of course, Ulrich Lindsay making his return to the election forum. I think this is his second, maybe third go-around as a candidate. I don't know. Don't quote me.
Definitely nothing less than 2.
Yeah, nothing less than 2. So in Georgetown South, we have a 3-person race: Craig Frederick, Gary Ruddy, and Ulrich Lindsay. Then moving on to Georgetown East. Georgetown East, home of
Which we will say, at least he's consistent.
At least he's consistent, indeed. Georgetown East, the incumbent former leader of the opposition and former Minister of Finance, Roy McTaggart, will face off against Mr. Vassell Bud Johnson, Jr. of the Cayman Islands National Party. They will also be joined by Miss Emily Dicou from the TCCP. And that is also a 3-person race between McTaggart, Johnson, and Dicou. Moving on to Red Bay, again, another hotly contested constituency. Red Bay, the incumbent, also deciding to step down. Of course, that was a seat formerly held by Sir Alden McLaughlin, also Speaker of the House. He announced his intention to not run for politics again, political office. Though I'm not sure if that extends to Speaker of the House, but I guess that remains to be seen. But he endorsed his longtime compatriot and certainly ally, Mr. Roy Tatum, will be running in Red Bay. He will go up against Miss Dawn Thomas for the Cayman Islands National Party. Dawn Thomas. Then we have another relative newcomer, Natasha Whitelock, with the Caymanian Community Party. And finally, rounding off the independence lawyer, Philip Ebanks, taking on that challenge. So Red Bay is a 4-person race: Roy Tatum, Dawn Thomas, Natasha Whitelock, and Philip Ebanks.
So what happened? This is Red Bay?
This is Red Bay.
So Mr. Leon isn't in there? Mr. Leon Gould?
Oh, yes, Leon Gould. Thank you. I knew my list was a little incomplete. Leon Gould is also in there as well. Sorry, Mr. Gould. I should know better. He calls the program all the time.
Good as gold.
Good as gold, Leon. So that takes us up to 54 candidates now. So again.
So how many people altogether in Red Bay then?
Altogether in Red Bay, we have 5 candidates in Red Bay. Thank you for that, Mr. Solomon. Moving on to Prospect. Also, interestingly, hotly contested. Prospect, we have the incumbent former minister, Sabrina Turner, member of the, I hate to say it. I want to say it, but I'm not going to say it.
You're quiet now.
I'm going to keep quiet.
Pay attention and do your reading.
Sabrina Turner as the incumbent. She will take on Michael Miles with the Cayman Islands National Party. And for the PPM, Crystal Gomez Wilson, also newcomer to the political scene. Miss Sabrina, Mr. Michael Miles, and Miss Crystal Gomez Wilson will be the...
Oh, that's just a 3?
That's a 3-person race.
This seems to be a 3-leg race in this particular campaign.
I'll tell you what, it's certainly...
a lot of 3s.
A lot of 3s, a large majority. Another 3 can be found in the constituency of Newlands, where we have the...
I'm sorry, Austin, I have to interrupt.
No, please, by all means, go ahead.
You know, I can hear people now. Get my pen and paper, write that number down. 53, 35. Add 5 and 3 get 8. 3-leg race. All right. Anyway, I digress.
You digress. But 54 candidates. Newlands, we have the incumbent former Premier Wayne Panton going up against his nemesis, Alva Suku, against sort of a repeat of the 2017 election race, I believe. Alva Suku will be running with the PPM.
Even though, I don't want to correct you, but it seems like you're putting the emphasis on the wrong syllables.
Emphasis on the wrong syllables.
You're pronouncing Suku a little bit different. I know him as Alva Suku.
Suku, what did I say?
It's something like a Suku. Oh. I don't. Anyway, go ahead.
Alva Suku.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Suku.
there you
All right.
go. I like that.
Or Suku. Alva Suku. With the PPM, Wayne Panton with the Caymanian Community Party, TCCP, and Mr. Raul Gonzalez Jr., also no stranger to the election race. He'll be throwing his hat into the ring again, this time so far also as an independent member. So there's a 3-person race in Newlands. Savannah, for a long time, was going to be a single-person race. Speaking of which, I think I've definitely got I need an update here. I've got Heather Bodden as the incumbent for the TCCP, but the PPM recently had a new candidate for Savannah. It was
Donna.
That's right.
It's Donna Mae Bush now.
Donna Mae Bush, quite right. It was Josh Parsons.
Come a little closer to the mic, Austin.
It was Josh Parsons earlier on in the month of January, but he has since dropped out and has been replaced by Donna Mae Bush running for the PPM, going up against incumbent Heather Bodden. So that's a 2-person race, 2 ladies going head-to-head. We'll see what happens.
That should be interesting.
It should be a very interesting race for sure. Moving on to Boddentown West, the seat presently held by incumbent Christopher Saunders, who will be running as an independent. Interestingly enough, he was approached by the PPM, encouraged to run with them. He declined, saying whilst he won't run with the PPM, he did state publicly that he would be willing to work with the PPM should they prove to be successful at the polls. Both of them, of course, Mr. Saunders and a majority of PPM
I didn't know
members.
he was approached, and I didn't. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Well, again, I think one of the news agencies asked, and there was a question there, but he came out unequivocally stating that he won't be running with them, but he will support them, certainly if he is successful at the polls. So Christopher Saunders, independent candidate for Boddentown West, will face off against former minister, former MP Osborne Bodden. He'll be making a return to politics with the Caymanian Community Party, and they will face off against a relative newcomer to the political race, Mr. Haymond Rankin, also with the Cayman Islands National Party.
Alrighty.
Now, moving on.
That's what, 4?
That's 3 people in Boddentown West. Haymond Rankin, Osborne Bodden, and Christopher Saunders.
This is a 3 thing.
That's a 3 thing. Going to Boddentown East, this is a 2-way race. We have the incumbent, Dwayne John Seymour, previously of the UPM government, now back with his former progressive teams, the PPM. He will be facing off against not a newcomer, also someone familiar with the political race, Mr. Robert Bodden, representing the Caymanian Community Party. So Boddentown East is a 2-person race.
Interesting.
So too is North Side, also a 2-person race. We have a familiar battle between the incumbent Jay Ebanks and the not-so-newcomer Justin Ebanks. Now, Justin, this will be his, I think, 2nd or 3rd time up at bat trying to win a seat in North Side. Certainly he was familiar faced in the 2017 election as well, and the one prior to that. But Justin Ebanks now finding a home with the PPM, and Mr. Jay Ebanks so far running as an independent. East End, now this is a hotly contested seat. Only one person can win there, obviously, but we have as many as 5 candidates running in East End. We have the incumbent minister, Isaac Rankin, of the UPM government. He will face off against independents John McLean Jr., also not a newcomer to the political race. I think we've almost every election in recent memory, John McLean Jr. has, thrown his hat into the ring. So certainly not shy and hoping to improve his chances. He will be joined by Mr. Roydell Carter, also in the independent bracket for East End. They will face off against Miss Jiva Richards, who's with the Cayman Islands National Party, and for the PPM, Delmira Bodden, who also first came out as an independent, but also at the 11th hour, we had a change of pace. Also, I think that happened over the weekend, some last-minute negotiations. So East End will be a 5-person race. Again, Delmira Bodden, Jiva Richards, Isaac Rankin, John McLean Jr., and Roydell Carter. Moving to the final 2 constituencies, we've got Cayman Brac West and Little Cayman. That was the seat held formerly by Moses Kirkconnell for many years, who has decided to step down and retire. Certainly, I just want to say to Mr. Kirkconnell, I had the pleasure of working with him. It was sad to see him go, but totally understand it. He wants to, I think, spend more time close to home with his family, his lovely wife, and I don't blame him. I've met both of them, obviously, and they're fantastic people, but Moses Kirkconnell stepping down, thereby leaving Nicholas DaCosta, the former caucus secretary of the present UPM administration. He will go up against independent Lonnie Tibbetts.
Really? Lonnie's running?
Lonnie decided to put his hat into the ring, so to speak. So Lonnie Tibbetts will go up against Nicholas DaCosta in Cayman Brac West and Little Cayman. And finally, last but certainly...
So, sorry, it's just 2 then in the
just
West?
2, Nicholas DaCosta and Lonnie Tibbetts.
And they're all independent?
No, Nicholas DaCosta is running with the Cayman Islands National Party.
Oh, okay.
And Lonnie Tibbetts is running as an independent.
All righty.
And then last but not least, we have the former premier, still the premier until a new government is elected, the Honourable Juliana O'Connor Connolly, who at the December sitting of Parliament announced her intention to retire, but also over the weekend in the 11th hour has decided to rejoin her former party, the PPM. So she will be the PPM's, I think, 11th candidate to the race. She also won the nomination as part of their party conference, which took place this weekend at the Kimpton Seafire. Miss O'Connor Connolly will go up against the leader of the Cayman Islands National Party, Mr. Daniel Lehman Scott.
Right.
And the 2 of them will face off against independent Maxine Moore, who's back for another round.
So it's 3 in that one, too?
It's 3 in that one as well.
Okay, make a note of that, girls.
So, yeah,
3.
so we got 3 there. Again, according to my list, we've got 54 candidates vying for what will be 19 constituency seats available.
Because initially it was sounding like Mr. Dan Scott was going to be running all by himself, or pretty much uncontested.
Yeah, well, Dan Scott was supposed to be running by himself. Heather Bodden was set to be running by herself. Joey Hugh was set to be running by himself, and Andre Ebanks was set to be running by himself.
It's like somebody just said, no, not so quickly.
Not so quickly. Well, certainly the premier has stated, I think, in a news article that, she couldn't leave her people behind, she said.
Hey, but listen, Austin, you know how it is, right? Like we keep talking about the Sopranos,
Yeah.
She's probably trying to step down. Like, hey, they just keep pulling me in.
Right. Well, I also believe...
Call for duty.
Let's call it what it is. I mean, the seat has been held and maintained by Juliana O'Connor Connolly for a long time. And I just don't think she was ready to just, allow a contender to just waltz right into that seat unopposed. So... I think she's just going to stand and...
Something happened to cause her to change her mind. We'll have to find out.
Fall where they may.
Yeah.
But those are your candidates that were nominated today as part of nomination day. And again, the silly season, the election campaign season...
The official race is on.
Officially starts today. And again, as you heard from our first caller to the program... Well, first caller, Mr. Kenneth Bryan, obviously he's excited to be in Joshua Central. And maybe, hopefully, very soon we'll have an opportunity to hear from the leader of the Progressives about his thoughts on his, election lineup, the new persons to come on board part of that team, some of the not-so-new persons, and, of course, his chances as a group.
All righty. Well, we'll be reaching out to some of you, and, of course, feel free to give us a shout. You probably want to pass our numbers out, but, so that at some point in time we can talk about discussing getting you here in the studio. There's a lot of promotion you got to do.
Yes.
We're happy to share our stories and experiences with you. It's going to be interesting. And I definitely saw some new faces that when I saw them, I said, well, that's a pretty decent selection.
Indeed.
It's interesting to see that Mr. Bush is going to be up against, what is it? Miss Julie Hunter, right?
Julie Hunter of the Cayman Islands National Party.
Wasn't she supporting him at one point in time or no?
Yes, I do believe so.
Okay.
She comes, again, Hunter is her married name. Her family name's Parchment. And a lot of that family have been traditionally Kiva supporters, Mr. Bush supporters.
Should be an interesting race.
It should be a very interesting race, to say the least. Interestingly enough, there have been a number of polls as to, who is, the front runners for perhaps the next premier position. According to the polls, again, from the media, Andre Ebanks is leading the way with the most votes, at least according to one poll, for the next possible premier of the Cayman Islands. McKeeva Bush, who was formerly, the first premier of the Cayman Islands, again, according to one poll, received less than 1% of the vote, so perhaps not as popular as he once was for that top position, but he's also going to be hard to beat in West Bay. He's held that seat for almost 30 years, I think.
So they did a poll on the leaderships of the various groups?
They did a poll on who the public thought were, who could be or should be the next premier. And McKeeva Bush, just, of course, because he is who he is.
I have a little bit of an issue with some of these
running.
polls, but,
Oh, well, again, we accept and acknowledge that all the polls, most of the polls have their slants. I don't know how objective they may be. But one of the things we can expect as part of this campaign season is more polls. So there will be more polls.
I just think, I think there needs to be some kind of a rule about those polls. I mean, because, at least I think it's very important you do your best to be very careful that you're not necessarily causing an undue influence,
Yes.
aiding or hurting a candidate. At least I think you should try to be as fair and straight down the road as possible.
Yes.
And again, whether wittingly or unwittingly, I think that those polls do have an influence on the minds of some. And I think it should be something where if you're going to do polls, maybe the election law needs to be able to clearly specify what criteria has to be met in order for you to run polls.
Right.
I just don't see how you, anyway, discussion for another day, but I think there needs to be some kind of rules, guidelines in terms of running polls and not people jumping out of the bush. Look, I just ran a poll, 3,000 people. Yep, apparently my brother's going to win.
That's right. That's right.
Just checking.
745-2626 is the number in studios. If you want to call in, offer up a comment. Maybe you have heard a favorite candidate in that running and you want to, praise them, give them a little encouragement. Well, now is the time to do so. We're also available for, thankfully, it's working today. We've got WhatsApp. You can reach us at 928-2562. You can send us a voice note on WhatsApp or just shoot us a traditional quick message on the usual WhatsApp means via text, and we'll read your comments with the...
How much did you have in West Bay North?
West Bay North, I have 3. Jordan Rivers, Ralston Anglin, and Shekinah Bush.
Okay, I'm getting a text here saying that there's 5 running in West Bay North. Let me click on this link.
Who are the other 2?
I don't know. I'm just trying to check it out here now.
All right.
West Bay North, I'm seeing Shekinah Bush, a Jermaine Ebanks Hurlston.
I don't have that one.
And a LeMay Michael LeMay.
Michael LeMay, okay.
And Raleigh.
All right.
Anglin, Ralston Anglin. And then the Jordan Rivers. So it looks like, at least according to this list, General Election 2025 candidates and nominators.
Okay.
Or is this... Hold on. This is saying no. This is
nominated then?
No. I was just thinking that might have been the case, but if I go to West Bay West, for example, it actually has, again, just Mr. Bush and Miss Julie Hunter. So this is clearer than just the candidates.
Okay. So give me those...
So at least for now, we want to make a little change here that it looks like it's some more candidates in West Bay North. And again, if we're getting this wrong, we'll find out. But all of these persons being independent, except for Jordan Rivers, who is Cayman Islands National Party. You got Ralston already. Independent is also going to be Mr. Michael LeMay. And then an independent candidate as well in West Bay North is going to be Jermaine Ebanks Hurlston. And then the independent as well is Miss Shekinah Bush.
All right.
Wow, that's a lot up in there.
Ebanks Hurlston.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I thank you for that update.
Well, I thank the listener who took the time out to send us that information. Greatly appreciate it.
Yes, indeed.
Won't call the name. I don't think they intended.
No,
I want their names called, so I won't do it. But thank you. Thank you very much for that information.
So that takes us up to 56 now. 56 candidates for for 19 seats. All right. Well, again,
totally, it's not short of competition.
It's not short. Jermaine Eubanks Hurlston, Michael LeMay, Shekinah Bush, Independents versus Ralston Anglin as well. So 4 independents in the West Bay North Division, and 1 group or / party man, Jordan Rivers with the Cayman Islands National Party. So 5.
And I got to take my hat off to everyone. First of all, I've said this before. It's when you're getting involved with the politics. Some persons do it not necessarily knowing what in the world they're getting into. But either way, I want to take my hats off all the persons who are willing to throw their hat in the ring and say, hey, I want to stand up and do something for my people. First of all of us, I think, should respect that and give them the respect that they deserve for actually doing that, throwing their hat in and wanting to serve the people of the country.
Yeah.
And again, some of those who are doing it multiple times, whether they're incumbents or just someone who's still looking to get back in, kudos to them again on the consistency. Greatly appreciated.
Indeed.
So it should be interesting, and it's our obligation to pay attention, and especially for our various constituencies, make sure you know where you're at and try to see if you can get a chance to hear and listen to all your candidates and make an objective decision.
Yes.
Make the best decision for yourself, your constituency, your family, your country. It's going to all be interesting.
Quite right. It certainly will. There was an interesting viewpoint that I came across over the
I got to keep my eyes on you, Austin.
I know.
You're on that website quite often. I'm starting to have concerns for you.
Well, you know,
I'm going to go over there and check your temperature.
Let's see. Oh, sorry. We got another update in the Cayman Brac East. I've got 3 on my list: Juliana O'Connor Connolly, Dan Scott, Maxine Moore. But I also see a Ruth Bodden has been added to that.
Albert Christian.
So we have Ruth Bodden.
Albert Christian. Oh, thanks. Thank this listener for sending us some information. So
Albert Christian.
Yeah, Albert Christian. Albert. Isn't Albert the guy that used to work at, is that a guy from Cayman Islands? I might get that right.
I don't know.
Mr. Dan Scott. I'm pretty sure that's who that is.
So that's now 58 candidates.
Dan Scott, Ruth Bodden, Juliana Connor Connolly, Maxine McCoy Moore, and Albert Christian.
That's right. McCoy Moore. Got it.
All
So
right.
Ruth Bodden, Albert Christian. So again,
We're not short of competition.
not short of competition at all. Again, a 5-person race in Cayman Brac East. The incumbent, Juliana O'Connor Connolly, faces off against Dan Scott versus Maxine McCoy Moore as an independent, Ruth Bodden as an independent, and Albert Christian as an independent. So 3 independents and 2 party affiliates vying for Cayman Brac East.
Wow.
Clearly wasn't going to be an
there we were.
section.
There we were thinking he was, but it seemed that way, right?
It did seem that way at first.
Okay.
And certainly want to thank, again, the listening audience for updating even my own list. So we do appreciate it. See the value of
Listeners. Listener
listening audience,
participation.
listener participation, indeed. Sometimes you educate us, and, well, we do appreciate it.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
We never profess to have all of the answers. Just the important ones. Just kidding.
We're all holding one part of the animal, and when we share our experience, then we can figure out what in the world animal we're holding.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so I got to see this. Which Albert Christian is this? I don't know. I got to find out. Either way, 5-person. My goodness. So it seems like a 3-5 race.
It does.
And you did start off talking about 53.
Yeah, I did. I did start off with 50. We did 53.
I'm just teasing the number player.
We were solid with 53, but
how much do we have now?
We have 58 according to last count.
58.
Yeah, 58.
Oh, there you go.
So we're almost nudging on 60, but I think that'll certainly get us all there.
I'm just on that numbers thing because I'm thinking got 3 questions on that referendum. You want to smoke something? Go gambling? Or just relax on a cruise ship?
Yes, quite
I'm
right.
thinking.
Exactly. So in addition to choosing between 58 candidates, you still have the referendum questions, which, just for
3 important
completeness,
questions.
we will say: should the Cayman Islands develop cruise berthing infrastructure? Do you support the introduction of a national lottery in the Cayman Islands? And do you support the decriminalization of the consumption and possession of small amounts of cannabis these 3 questions will appear also on your ballot, along with the respective names in your own constituency. So,
well, I'll tell you what on the marijuana, I'm not big about the smoking.
Yes.
But in fact, I don't think you should smoke anything.
Right.
And even try not to even inhale smoke.
Right.
But I think, the marijuana from a medicinal standpoint, I don't know. I definitely have. I give that my support.
Okay.
You know, they used to do that when we were younger, right?
Well, the marijuana tea.
Yeah, the marijuana tea.
Yes.
And
what was that supposed to help?
A big part of it was for when you lost your appetite, they used to give you that.
Okay.
And then, of course, later on, the little guy came with a tie and replaced that with Periactin.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think it was Periactin.
Okay.
But yeah, they used to give it to you for that, and Of course, if we follow the word of God, Austin, you're supposed to eat the stuff, not smoke it.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just letting you know.
Yeah.
It's not Sunday yet. Well, it's Ash Wednesday. Are we going to preach on Ash Wednesday? I think we should.
You think we should?
Yeah, I think so.
Well,
I think we should talk somewhere between farm products and something religioso.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can definitely do that. To God goes the glory. We are here today by His, by His blessing. We're grateful to be here. We, as a team, we make no qualms about it. We lift up a little prayer before we go.
This is where I
every
big you
show.
up, Austin, because you're a good guy in leading the prayers, and I appreciate that.
Well, if I remember correctly, dear friend, on our first go round, when we first showed up on the scene, you were leading the prayers.
Okay.
And now around, I finally.
So I had an influence on you.
You did have an influence on me, so I finally got caught up, and now I'm following your lead, my friend.
Well, I don't shy away on the God stuff. I'm far from perfect, but I definitely don't shy away from that.
No, neither do I, my friend. It certainly has been a blessing to me, indeed. So yeah, just making sure here that we have all of the updates, and we do. So 58 candidates vying for 19 seats, and certainly we have a caller on the line. Let's see if we can take that call now. Good evening, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, it's me again. I hear it was 5 running in Cayman Brack East.
Yes.
What about James Christian and Ruth and Borden?
Well, we have Albert Christian and Ruth Borden.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's 5.
Yeah, it's 5. We originally had 3, Juliana, Dan, and Maxine McCoy, but a caller to the program added Miss Ruth Borden and Mr. Albert Christian to that list.
So how many in all we have now?
In Cayman Brack East, a total of 5.
And altogether it's all, right?
Altogether,
58 candidates?
58 candidates, according to my list.
Okay, then. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Pleasure to provide that assistance for you.
There's that magic number. You have it, 58. People have been waiting nomination day, Austin. Let's get. I need my bell.
You need your bell in the worst of ways.
Bell. Can you imagine?
You need your bell.
58 is the number.
Yes.
58 is the magic number for today. What is today's date? 3rd of March. Oh my goodness. 3rd of March, 2025. 58 candidates running for 19 seats. Yeah, and you know what I want to say? I want to say this too. We talked about victimization the other day. And I hope that the victors will look at a lot of these candidates that are running and try to see if there's a chance for those who are not successful, to give them a chance to actually get involved perhaps in some way, shape or another in the running of the country.
Yeah.
Maybe a little board seat here or there.
Right.
That would prove to me that you're not one of those victimizers, because I know a few of them, Austin.
You do?
Yeah. I like your mood today. I know you're busy, but whenever you agree with me without thinking about it, I know it's like he's busy. It's like, yeah, you did do it.
You did? Really? Okay, if you say so.
It's like, I'm just on my phone here, guy. What are you saying? It's like, at this point in time, I could say...
Just say yes. Just say yes. Nod and say yes.
Yes, I have some blue coffee for you. I said, okay, thank you. Put it right there.
Put it right there.
I know you're not focused on me.
No, not at all. No, I was sorry. I was distracted. I was sending our rates to
I know, and I was just filling the air for you. That's important. One of the rules of the show is always keep it going. So we're going to talk about one of your slanted things.
Yes.
Or one of your viewpoint things.
Yeah, we were going to look at that, and I was trying to find it because I had it on my phone.
You got to beat something up today.
So let's see. I had it on my phone. I can't seem to find it. Here we go. I have it on my phone. I don't know why I can't find it online.
We're in school now.
But it is rather lengthy. Good thing we got about 12 minutes left. But this one is entitled Experienced Incumbents versus Patriotic Candidates. And again, it can be found on the pages of Cayman News Service. Take that for what it's worth. But it begins, Cayman Sentinel Rights. For decades, Caymanian politics has been dominated by the idea that experience is the most valuable asset a candidate can have. Career politicians tell us that because they have been in office before, they are the only ones qualified to lead. They argue that without their knowledge of government operations, the country would fall apart. But when we step back and assess the reality, it becomes clear that the very politicians who boast about their experience are the same ones who have made decisions that have harmed our economy, environment, and society. The failure of experience. Take a look around. Skyrocketing cost of living, an unregulated real estate market boom that benefits wealthy developers over local farmers, and an immigration system that makes it harder for Caymanians to find jobs. Who was responsible for these policies? It wasn't fresh candidates with a love of country. It was the so-called experienced politicians, those who have sat in office for years watching Caymanians struggle while they cater to big business and foreign interests. The hard truth is that experience in office does not automatically mean competence or good leadership. If it did, Cayman's social and economic conditions would have improved significantly by now. Instead, what we have seen is a widening gap between the rich and the working class, a political system that rewards connections over merit, and a government that too often ignores the voices of its own people. This repeated cycle of failed leadership is not just a theoretical issue. It has real, tangible consequences. The cost of living continues to rise as the government fails to implement effective price control measures. Young Caymanians, despite being highly educated and talented, struggle to find opportunities in their own country as foreign workers are prioritized. Meanwhile, environmental destruction is rampant, with large-scale developments wiping out our precious mangroves and endangering our marine ecosystems. The question is, why do we keep trusting the same politicians who have allowed this to happen? The answer is simple: because they sell us the illusion that experience is irreplaceable. But experience in corruption, mismanagement, and broken promises should not be what we value in our leaders. The case for patriotic candidates. Patriotic candidates, those who are deeply committed to the well-being of Caymanians and to political gains, and not to political gains, offer a much-needed alternative. They are not weighed down by years of government bureaucracy, nor are they influenced by the special interests that keep incumbents in power. Instead, they enter politics with a fresh perspective, an eagerness to serve, and a genuine love for the Cayman Islands. These candidates have integrity. They are not career politicians looking for a paycheck or status. They are community members stepping up because they see a problem and want to fix it. They have real-world experience. Many of them have backgrounds in business, education, law, tourism, or social services, sectors that directly impact Caymanians' daily lives. And they have a vision for change. Unlike incumbents who often prioritize maintaining their political careers, patriotic candidates focus on what needs to be done to improve the country. One of the greatest advantages of these candidates is their connection to the people. While long-term politicians become insulated from the struggles of everyday Caymanians, patriotic candidates come from within the community. They understand the struggles of single mothers trying to afford groceries, young professionals trying to buy their first home, and elderly citizens living on inadequate pensions. Furthermore, these candidates are free from the tangled web of favors and obligations that career politicians owe to lobbyists and special interest groups. They do not enter government with debts to foreign investors or corporations that funded their campaigns. Their only loyalty is to the people who elect them. The corruption of career politicians, and we're coming to the end, I think, I hope. Many of the current incumbents did not start out as corrupt politicians. They entered office with promises of change, pledging to fight for Caymanians and protect our way of life. But politics is a system that rewards self-interest, and too many of these politicians fell into the trap of prioritizing their own power and financial security over the well-being of the people. This corruption manifests in several ways. One, cronyism. Long-term politicians reward their friends and allies with government contracts, political appointments, and favors that serve the elite rather than the people. Neglect of key issues. They focus on projects that benefit their donors instead of tackling real problems like affordable housing, education reform, and healthcare improvements. Manipulation of the system. Incumbents change laws, manipulate voting districts, and use political tactics to ensure they stay in power, regardless of what the people want. The only way to break this cycle is by electing new leaders who have no ties to these corrupt networks. Cayman needs leaders who will prioritize policies that benefit everyday citizens instead of lining the pockets of the wealthy elite. And there's a few more paragraphs that it goes on to, but I think in the interest of time and certainly in the interest of soliciting some feedback from my colleague after hearing that, certainly we will make that available. But this is a viewpoint that was published on today's date in the Cayman News Service with the title, Experienced Incumbent versus Patriotic Candidates, obviously taking a swipe at the closing remarks and certainly continued remarks of the chairman of the Progressives, the PPM, Sir Alden McLaughlin, who's been pushing very much the experience over what he called the experiment. But some feedback and thoughts on what the writer shared.
Well, I think that there is a lot of merit with what is actually written there. I think that you could question a little bit about some of the wording, but generally speaking, I think there's a lot of merit. Yeah. Again, I have said before that, and I prefer to word it this way, I think it's more accurate, but I would think so, that bottom line is a politician has to make a very fundamental decision when they get elected. Do I want to do the right thing or do I want to stay in office? Mm-hmm. And you have a lot of persons, we had one a couple of days ago. Again, you can talk about praising someone just because they stay in office, but that doesn't really mean much. Mm-hmm. In fact, it could be against you in terms of your resume, as far as I'm concerned. And let me explain to you why I can tell you that. Let's even forget about all the corruption stuff. Yeah. A person that gets elected, that works hard and makes decisions, always split the room. Understand that decisions always split the room. So let's pretend I'm in a room with 100 people. And I get up and I say, I want to build affordable homes. I think it's good for the country. Well, you're not going to get 100% of those people supporting you. Let's just say 20 don't support it and 80 supports it. Mm-hmm. So now what you're going to have as a candidate or as an incumbent is 20 people running around the country talking bad about you because they disagree with your decision about affordable homes. Right. And unfortunately, the 80 who do agree with you will not be as vociferous. Mm-hmm. They will not be. We can get into why that happens, but that's the way it happens. Then the same person makes another decision. I want to see jobs for Caymanians only. Right. Well, again, the room is split. Might be split 37 to who knows. Mm-hmm. And now you've got another 30 people. And in fact, the 30 might be part of the 80 that was supporting you on something else. Who knows? Right. And they're now going out saying things. So anytime you make a decision, you split the room. Mm-hmm. And when you split that room, people going around talking bad about you, it causes you to lose your seat. Yeah. One way to stay in office is do nothing. Mm. It sounds funny, but go around, drink with everyone, have a little smoke, visit them at weddings and funerals, ask how the kids are doing, ask them how they're doing, and just be a nice guy. That's one way that you can help stay in office. I have been in caucus, mm-hmm. where I can tell you we were discussing major important things about the country. Mm-hmm. And that all came to an immediate halt the moment did you hear that Mayor died? Oh, yeah. What? Mayor died? When's the funeral? Because we're all lining up now to see who's going to give us a speech. Yeah. Who's going to pay a tribute. Yeah. Got to call up the family. And so at the end of the day, that is one of the things that you see. Bear in mind that when you're a candidate, when you're elected, the persons who make decisions and who are actually getting things done, chances are will not keep their seat.
Right.
So when I brought the pension amendment, I remember I think there was about 28 different representatives from the pension companies there. Do you really think that they were happy with me for giving the pension to the Caymanian to go to be able to buy a piece of land and build a house? They were not happy. They were seeing this as millions of dollars coming out of their bank accounts and how much money they were going to lose. And 28 persons in the room would have rippled that to every single employee in the pension companies and to everyone that they could talk to.
Right.
When you make decisions, you lose votes. And that's why when you look, and I'm not going to call names, but you go look at some of the people that are running, some of the people that were in there, whatever you want to do, and you look around, and the question for you to ask yourself is, what exactly did this person do? Because chances are, if you're going to get reelected, probably means you were a nice guy but didn't really do much. Because I can tell you, tough decisions will cause you to lose votes. So that's what I would say about that. Now, what I like to say about the newspaper is it would have been good if that same slanted newspaper would do their job, and that is to actually give the news as it is. You know, like if a candidate does do something, you actually talk about it and don't take a biased position and say, not even mentioning their names.
Right, right.
Not calling any names for that slanted paper. 5:58 here in the studio, Austin. How much time do you go before we ring the bell?
We have 30 seconds. Now's a good time to pause and take a short commercial break. Check in again with the BBC News at the top of the hour. But the phone lines remain open, 745-2626. Or you can send us a voice note via WhatsApp at 928-2562 or a standard WhatsApp text message. But don't change that dial. There'll be more Straight Talk still to come here on Bobo 103.1 FM.
Have your engine driving like never before with Pure 93, the highest pure octane fuel in Cayman and available exclusively at Rubis service stations. Pure 93 protects against engine knock, restores lost power and acceleration, cleans fuel injectors, intake valves, removes engine deposits, improves your fuel economy, and it meets international specification requirements for your car. Fill up with Pure 93 now and keep your engine running like new. Fuel the difference with Pure 93, available exclusively at Rubis.
Bobo FM. We're making Bobo FM bigger and better. We've got a brand new frequency with even more power. Retune your FM radio to 103.1 now. This is Bobo FM, the home of the BBC World Service, the most trusted news source in the world. Now in our new home of 103.1 FM. This is Bobo 103.1. Bobo FM. We're making Bobo FM bigger and better. We've got a brand new frequency with even more power. Retune your FM radio to 103.1 now. This is Bobo FM, the home of the BBC World Service, the most trusted news source in the world. Now in our new home of 103.1 FM. This is Bobo 103.1. Bobo FM. We're making Bobo FM bigger and better. We've got a brand new frequency with even more power. Retune your FM radio to 103.1 now. This is Bobo FM, the home of the BBC World Service, the most trusted news source in the world. Now in our new home of 103.1 FM. This is Bobo 103.1.
BBC News, hello, I'm Eileen McHugh. President Trump has said 25% tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada will come into effect on Tuesday as planned. His comments were followed by sharp falls on US stock markets. The Premier of British Columbia, David Eby, told the BBC tariffs will hurt both countries.
When you look at the trade numbers, the majority of what we're selling to the United States are energy inputs, electricity, natural gas, petroleum products from British Columbia, wood, These are all things that go into value-added products in the United States. But if you take out energy, for example, there's a significant trade deficit with the United States where we're buying more from Americans than we're selling. So it's going to hurt Canadians, it's going to hurt Americans, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to us, and it's created a huge amount of uncertainty.
President Trump also said he'd signed an order to increase tariffs on China from 10 to 20%. President Trump has renewed his public criticism of Volodymyr Zelensky, saying he should be more appreciative of U.S. support for Ukraine. Mr. Trump also suggested the Ukrainian president would not be in office for long if he did not back a deal with Russia. But Mr. Trump denied reports he is considering ending U.S. military aid to Ukraine. Our North America correspondent is Namia Iqbal.
I think ultimately what's really confusing about the administration is that they're not saying what Zelensky could do to redeem himself. I suspect they want him to just say sorry for that big blow-up on Friday, to accept the minerals deal regardless of what assurances or what it doesn't promise, and make peace with Russia and just end the war quickly, which is what Donald Trump wants. But as we know, Mrs. Zelensky is not prepared to do it that quickly.
The Vatican says Pope Francis has suffered 2 episodes of acute respiratory failure on his 18th day in hospital in Rome. Doctors had to intervene to clear his lungs. The Pope, who's 88, is being treated for double pneumonia. Sarah Rainsford is in Rome.
The details are actually quite extraordinary. They talk about abundant mucus that they had to clear from the Pope's lungs to help him to breathe. He is now back on a mechanical ventilator, so he is receiving help with his breathing through a face mask, but he hasn't been intubated, as we understand. The doctors have said all along that the Pope's condition is serious. They have described it as a complex clinical condition, and they've always said that he's not out of danger. So clearly this latest downturn is within those kind of broad parameters.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has threatened Hamas with what he called unimaginable consequences if it doesn't release all Israeli hostages still in Gaza. The Palestinian group has accused Israel of trying to sabotage the ceasefire in the territory. Israel has already suspended all aid after Hamas rejected a plan to extend the first phase of the truce, which ended on Saturday. This is the World News from the BBC. The UN has accused M23 rebels of abducting at least 130 people from hospitals in Goma in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The UN's Human Rights Office said the Rwandan-backed rebels who captured the city claimed the patients were members of the DRC's army or pro-government militias. A spokeswoman said they were being held in undisclosed locations. The US First Lady, Melania Trump, has given her support to a bill that would make revenge porn a federal crime and force tech companies to remove such items from their platforms. The Take It Down bill also seeks to punish people who threaten to publish such images or those generated by artificial intelligence. It's Mrs. Trump's first public announcement since returning to the White House.
By advocating this bill, Congress can take an important step towards ensuring accountability and fostering responsibly online behavior. The Take It Down Act bill represents a powerful step toward justice, healing, and unity.
US legislators hope Mrs. Trump's lobbying will help overcome potential obstacles in the House of Representatives. German police say they don't think there was a political or religious motive behind a car ramming attack that killed 2 people in the city of Mannheim. The suspect is a 40-year-old German man who appears to be mentally ill. He's being treated for a self-inflicted gunshot wound. 5 other people were seriously injured. Scientists studying the world's most powerful ocean current, which circles Antarctica, have warned it could slow down as melting ice sheets dilute it with fresh water. The Antarctic circumpolar current transfers vast amounts of cold seawater into the Atlantic, Indian and Pacific Oceans. They say the slowdown could lead to more severe climate instability. BBC News.
The views views and opinions expressed on Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of Stingray Media, its staff, or contributors. Callers to the program accept full responsibility for the views expressed. The show host and affiliates are not liable for any statements made or any harm claimed. All callers to the program indemnify Straight Talk from all claims. Offensive, defamatory, or unlawful content will not be tolerated. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Now, here's Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio on Bobo 103.1.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Straight Talk with your two favorite talk show hosts, Austin and myself, Ellio Solomon. And you're on Bobo FM 103.1, 103.1. Of course, most of you are tuning in 89.1. We want you to make sure and transition to 103.1, which carries us around the island. That's all three islands. If you want to join into the conversation, 745-2626. That's 745-2626. And in the interim, school's still open. On this discussion, Mr. Harris, again, this particular article talks about, by the way, I love that beat. And, it talks about new persons bringing this and old persons not having, even old persons were new at one point, right? And again, I just say that because I don't think you should be judging purely on whether the person is an incumbent or whether the person is new. You have to look at, to me, the character of a person, and as much as possible, if they have any sense of a resume out there, that will tell you a little bit about the candidate. You should have a little bit of a resume. It doesn't mean they have a resume and knowledge in Parliament. It might not be that, but it might be that they have a resume that when you look at that resume, it tells you this person is a doer, this person is a survivor, whatever it is. Look at the resume. Very, very important. And so I think that when we go out tomorrow, or on the 3rd of April, 2025, to cast our votes, I think we should be armed with the fact that we went out, we've attended these meetings, we've got a chance to know as much as we can about the particular candidates, what's their resume, and be able to make an informed decision. It is very, very important. I want to encourage us to not do it based on, did I get blocks? Did my sister get a knee operation? Did I, who fixed my roof? Honestly, I don't think that's a very important way to make the decisions. But I just want to say everybody's new at some point. So if you just read the article on one hand, then it seems to be suggesting the new is good and the old is bad. I don't think that's the way it is. Yeah. Bottom line is, it's like anything else. In this particular case in Parliament, I can assure you, you have to make up your mind whether I want to do the right thing or whether I want to do something that helps me to stay in office. For example, making decisions will cause you to lose your seat. It doesn't mean it was bad decisions. It means that you made decisions. And every time you make decisions, you split the room. And that's why a lot of times people don't want to touch the controversial issues. They don't want to make a decision on this. They don't want to make a decision on that, because you can lose your seat. And actually, there might be a time and place. Who knows? There might be a time and place to not make certain decisions also. Sometimes not making a decision is an important decision. But either way, I think you get the point.
Yes.
All right? And so, ladies and gentlemen, 745-2626. It was just about a couple of minutes left here before we end the program. 6:09, giving us about 21 minutes. If there's something you want to say, let us know. I know I got a text from one particular listener saying something about talk about Whole Foods. Let me see if I can find this. Let's see if I got any more qualification in this particular statement. Talk about locally grown Whole Foods.
He was referring to our conversation about Ash Wednesday. So he finally, chimed in to say, this is what we should be talking about: Whole Foods and growing what you eat. Yes, those are all the many attributes of agricultural show and the Ash Wednesday celebration. Certainly, it's a great opportunity if you do have, a backyard farm, whether it be small or large. You can pick up some of those quality indigenous fruit trees. I know I used to go every year for the odd chance that I might find a Julie mango. Oh, I love them. Little seedling that I could plant in the back room.
Your eyes glazed up when you.
I know I love the Julie mango, but that's fantastic. But a Namdok is also quite delicious as well.
I'll take any mango in I can't wait. I just piles up I cuts them up and puts that in the fridge. Trust me, man. My freezer be full
loaded.
Of things.
Loaded. Yeah, I love mangoes.
I drink in my little puree like every 4, 5, 6 times for the day.
Yeah, man.
I'm mangoed out there, bro.
I don't know how I can be mango dog because I agree with you.
No,
it's
you
fantastic.
You,
but
you eat enough mango, you go like jelly. You know? You can't, your knees can't stand up properly.
I always feel nostalgic with mangoes. Again, it just takes me back immediately to being a child when I had less worries in the world versus becoming an adult. But that whole mango season and taking it down to the beach and eating it whilst you're in the surf, half in, half out, and the skin is falling at your feet, and the little fish are no longer nipping at your toes; they're nipping at the skin of the mango. And everybody is enjoying mango season, from you and I to the fishies.
Yeah.
And every time I consume mangoes, quote unquote, in the ocean or in the sea, I'm immediately transported back to a kinder, gentler period in my life.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to transition, not to knock the mango topic, because I definitely want to get back, and that's a very juicy topic. But my mind is just again on the article, and two things I wanted to talk about was the whole issue raised about money, spending in the campaign, which I touched on several times already.
Yeah.
And the other one is a perspective that I think candidates could and should be taking. I mean, one is on the finances, is that let's bear in mind, I talked about a couple of days ago about trying to potentially think about a way that we can have some political reform, some electoral reform, in the sense that we can have more public debates and remove the need for all the cash, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to have people competing for signs and all these things give persons that have money an advantage.
Right.
And I legitimately, from the bottom of my heart, believe we need to do something like that. Because again, you are the owner of Cayman Islands company, and you want to get the best persons working for you. And it shouldn't be that the best person can't get to you because they couldn't buy a big enough sign. We don't want that. So I think you want to try to get that out of it. The only other monies that are being spent, if we don't want to see candidates getting money from I think they were calling it special donors or lobbyists or special interest groups, whatever, then stop asking politicians for money. That would be one good way. You know? A lot of politicians out there getting money because you got people asking them for money.
True.
All right?
True.
And I said it a couple of days ago, we might like to hear it, but you can't have a politician, a corrupt politician, without certain members of the public corrupt.
Yeah, you can't buy votes unless somebody's selling it.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. As I say, you point one finger, three's pointing back at you.
That's right.
And we as a society need to make sure that we can sit and say to our neighbor, you're a disgusting human being. You should stop asking for mile every election and for blocks.
Yes.
Because these are the sort of things that are actually happening. And you will have politicians that say, keeping my seat is pretty important. Sure. Again, getting back to my point, do I want to do the right thing or do I want to keep my seat? And, if I just got to buy a guy a couple of blocks, let's just do it, right?
Right.
You got 8 votes in that family.
Yeah.
And the list goes on. So I want to say, if you want to take money out of it, those are at least 2 things. And what was the other one? Money and, another perspective. I think, honestly, the candidates that are getting in, I think you're here first and foremost to serve the Caymanian people. And I believe if you do what is right for the Caymanian people and you do it in the right way, I don't think the rest of the persons in this country is going to be at fault. And anyone who is complaining, chances are probably shouldn't even be here. But let's just be clear. If we take the perspective from our young persons that have went off to college and they're going to come back to work, let's look at it through that perspective.
Yeah.
Are we making sure that they have money and funding for those persons who want to study and come back with an education to contribute? We want to make sure that that's happening.
Sure.
I can tell you the last time I checked that you were talking about just $20,000 a year probably doesn't cut it, considering that most colleges are probably $40,000, $45,000 a year. Easy.
Yeah.
So you might want to change that. And then in addition to that, what am I doing to make sure that this person has a job when they come back? And again, jobs for Caymanians only, other things. Are we putting labor persons in the office to make sure that, they're showing up at the doors of these big, large corporations and say, bring me the files, bring me the files. You're paying this Caymanian $60,000, but you paid the guy who was there doing the same job last year $120,000. Why is this?
Yeah.
And there's discrimination provisions in the labor law, but no law is worth anything if you don't enforce it. It's like the trash. There's a community law that says $500 fine, and I haven't seen anyone charge $500 yet.
Not a soul since the law was ever written.
Okay, so again, if we take it through that lens of just simply looking and saying, our young people, that's one perspective to be looking at it. Going right through, I'm a young person. I want to be able to come out of I want to be able to go to college. I want to be able to come out. I want to be able to get a job. I want to have an opportunity to open business. All of these things the politicians can be looking at and seeing how we can actually improve those things and opportunities for Caymanians.
Yeah.
And again, another perspective is our elderly. You know, what are we doing there?
Yes.
In terms of, you know, you got all these persons who are suffering from diabetes and other illnesses, and where are they actually staying and who's taking care of them? There's a myriad of different things just from, they say society can be judged amongst other things by how we treat our young and how we treat our elderly.
Yeah.
If they take that perspective, I think persons in this campaign have a lot to go out and preach about,
Yeah.
a lot of things to think about, and a lot of things to do on behalf of Caymanians if and when elected. For sure, if I'm still sitting here, I'm going to do what I can to aid the candidates to be able to get that message out, and as well as when those candidates are elected, do my best to hold them accountable to make sure it happens.
Sure.
Because I really think Cayman is small and we can really make a big difference. And I would like to say that even the foreign nationals that are living in this country, I believe that the overwhelming majority of them mean Cayman well. But I'm not going to hold back to say that there's some that's just here to look out for themselves, and the list goes on. And quite frankly, I think you need to bag them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Get them on a plane somewhere.
No, absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Well, 745-2626 is the number. We have about just under 12 minutes to go at 6:17 is the time in studios, and we, of course, will sign off at 6:30. But if you want to join the conversation, either adding a comment to our ongoing conversation, or if you want to throw in something new to the mix, well, by all means, 745-2626 is the number for you. If you want to save those valuable credits that you have on your phone, then by all means, you can send us a WhatsApp voice note by dialing 928-2562, or you can send us just the traditional WhatsApp message, and of course, we will receive it and read it on the air. We won't make any amendments. We'll just share it as you intended it.
And one more thing, Austin, and forgive me as well, because
Please,
I don't have the advantage of being able to sit down and make a little note, bullet point 1, bullet point 2.
That's fine.
So as I think about this, again, the criticism is that when you read that article, it's painting the persons, like anyone who has experience, in a bad light. I don't think that's positive.
No.
Listen to us. If you were to go tomorrow to a bank to open a bank account, I mean, do you want a guy that's fresh in the bank like you? Or would you prefer to actually be chatting with someone who's opened a couple of bank accounts before?
Right.
And
Or you're going in for surgery.
I was just going to jump to that. You just took it out of my...
I'm with you, buddy.
I don't know.
Connected.
We are indeed connected. This is scary.
But yeah.
So, you know, the surgeon, oh, well, I'm new at this, but hey, let's...
I did sleep at a Holiday Inn last night, so I feel very refreshed and positive.
So let's not be ridiculous. You can't just get up and say, and I mentioned this in one of my public meetings, and I want public to understand it, because I'm so happy to be able to say this, knowing I'm not asking for anybody's vote.
Yeah,
you know,
it's freeing.
It's so liberating.
Yes, liberating. That's right.
Listen, we in this country take the decision, and this is what I said in one of my meetings. We are making the decision of choosing a tiler. You know, someone who puts down your tiles.
Yeah.
We actually take more time in choosing a tiler than we take in choosing people who are going to run the country.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's what you do if you're looking for someone who's going to tile your floor. Austin, I'm looking for a good tiler. I want my kitchen perfect.
That's right. I want level. I don't want no dips and valleys.
I don't want to hear bump my toe on a 1/8 or a 1/4 inch rise in tile.
Right.
And I'm going to say to Austin, do you know a good tiler? Or this is what all of us are going to say to Austin.
Yeah.
Austin's going to say, yeah, boy, you know who good at that?
Mm-hmm.
My friend John.
Yes.
Hold on now. You know, remember, Austin is our friend. And when Austin says, my friend John can do a good job, we don't stop there.
That's right.
We say, really? You heard that or you know that?
Right. Quite right.
Am I right?
Yeah.
I mean, you stop me when I'm wrong.
No, you
know, and then we can say...
Keep going, but keep preaching.
And only when Austin can say, listen to me, man. Come over to my house. I mean, let me just show you this bathroom and this kitchen that the man tiled for me.
Yeah.
And Austin's going to show you. And when Austin show you that what his friend John has done, you're going to say, wow, I want that tiler.
Yeah.
Oh, no. We take that serious, but we don't take the politicians serious.
Right.
I go in there vote tomorrow, and you know who I'm going to vote for? I'm going to vote for my sister.
Yes.
Ready to
Yes.
what your sister did. No, not blood taken on water, Bobo.
That's right.
Oh,
right.
so this is a blood thing now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all sorts of nonsense, you know. Hey, vote red or dead, green or pink,
Yes.
you know, blue or true.
True.
You know, come on. This is and I'm saying to you, this is much more serious than who's going to tile your floor.
Mm-hmm.
But in who's going to build our house and who's going to tile our floor, we're taking it a lot more serious than the persons who are going to make all the decisions
Yes.
that will impact every single thing in our life.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to impact, are you going to be able to get medication when you get old? Where are you going to be able to stay? The cost of living. Are you going to be able to afford a house? Are there going to be provisions for you to allow you to be able to own a house?
Mm-hmm.
Your health insurance. You name it, the streets. They're going to also make the decisions whether you can actually have a contractor or not. Let me just give you an example. When I was building a house, you didn't have to have a contractor to build your house. You could go and build a house yourself, technically.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have to have a contractor, and then the contractor also has to have an independent project manager. And all of these hurdles are making it harder and harder for our people to get a house.
Right.
Right? Young people can't come back and just get a piece of land. You can go, the banks will give you the 100% of the money to go buy a car.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to buy a piece of land, you better come with 20,000.
Yeah.
You gotta put it up. No, why is that?
Yeah, where's the logic there?
Yeah. You know what the logic is? The logic is just very simple. Well, if you don't get to the car, I can get the car back, go and sell it, but the land now gives me too much work. Bottom line is, I think giving young people land is more important than a car.
No, I would absolutely agree with you.
Okay, so I'm saying to you...
Although,
Uh-huh.
for a young person who's never had a loan before, a car loan is a good, for lack of a better word, practice to learn what it is to commit to paying a bill, a long-term debt.
Sure.
But certainly I agree with you in terms of value to that person.
Yeah.
A piece of the rock is much more valuable than, some wheels to traverse the rock.
Absolutely. So the thing of it is I'm simply saying, is that this is a very, very important decision. And let's make it a little bit more important in our lives. Or at least equal as important as how we're going to choose a tiler for our floor. I believe it is very important. So I want to encourage candidates, again, get up, look through that perspective and say what I'm actually doing for KMI and stop making the same promises every year. And there's a lot of things that can be done. And I've talked about things that are already there that needs to be enforced, whether it's trash, whether it's jobs for KMI. That's a lot of things. Let's get those things enforced. And, of course, keep our young and keep our elderly in mind so that we can make the right decisions and make Cayman a really great country, like the greatest little country in the world.
Greatest little country in the world, indeed. And we, by all means, can do it. And I support that statement there. Whilst we have the opportunity to view what other countries, either in the region or the globe, have done, and certainly pick, choose, and refuse as to, find the right model for us. But more importantly, we were at one stage innovators as well.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad you said that.
And I think somewhere along the lines we got satisfied with mediocrity as opposed to greatness. But I'm still optimistic that we can get there again. And I think that is what if I can pull out maybe the heart of what you were saying in your comments, in that we need to step up our game as to who we're going to elect. We need to know what the issues are, so we can therefore hold our would-be candidates to a higher account. But we also need to take the time to go listen to those persons, to hear whether or not they understand the issues, and B, do they have the ability to provide the solutions other than just the regurgitated traditional answers that they may have heard from someone else. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. This nonsense of voting because they were recommended to me, voted because they're my family or blood or otherwise, this is what got us in the mess to begin with. It takes ownership, and that ownership begins at the voter level. And of course, to your point on the whole, throwing shade on politicians for being corrupt, you can't buy a vote if you don't sell it first. And that too that falls back on us.
No, absolutely. And I want to save you a little bit from some of these persons who keep, making the environment something to be worshipped rather than simply being sacred. I say this because you have some persons that are going to be trying to sell you. Really what a lot of the showstoppers are doing, it's like you get some sense. They're trying to sell you a sense of satisfaction that if nothing's happening for me, it won't happen for anyone else.
Right.
That's really what it's coming in. Well, I don't want to see him advancing. They're building hotels and I ain't getting diddly.
Right.
No, nothing. And a big part of this pro-environment nonsense is that. I'm going to tell you that's what it is. That's one of the reasons, right? But let's be clear. You have to love and respect the environment. We have to take care of it. But this country has to advance, okay? You can say that you don't want roads tomorrow. I would love to see monorails. I've talked about that. We can have monorails that are holding electrical wires and your water up in there and getting some of these things out of the sky. Development is important as well. There has to be a balance, okay? You can't build a house unless at the end of the day you're chopping a couple of trees down. But do not make people carry you into this socialistic, environmental bamboozle business that's going on to say, really the satisfaction that I'm getting is I don't want anyone getting hit. I'm seeing people coming here and they're getting hit. I'm not getting hit. So stop it. Showstopper for everything.
Right.
Nothing should happen. Don't let that be the case. If you feel you should be getting some of the action, then let's fight for that. Let's fight and take people out of the kitchen that isn't serving food for Caymanians. Let's make sure we get some of the action.
Yeah.
But do not comfort yourself that having 2 trees sitting on the side of the road, like you're going to eat them and make some kind of special soup for you and your kids. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
We need part of the action. Caymanians need to be first in their country, absolutely 100% first, right? And let's bear in mind, if you own a company, let's say your family is a group of 5. You can own a company that has 300,000 people in it. Doesn't hurt your family because your family is the owners.
Right.
Right? And that is the situation we came on. Don't worry about how many foreigners here. The question for you to ask yourself is my politicians making me the owner? Is he making me the owner? And I'm telling you, they have the power to make it that every time water authority, somebody flushes a toilet or runs a tap, you should get paid because you're an owner.
Yeah.
And every time somebody turns a light switch on, you should get paid because you're an owner. Do you have a phone call?
No, but it
take a
is-
break?
No, we have
finished?
to end.
Aw,
6:28 on the dial, giving us about 1 minute before we have to wrap
Just
up.
getting going there.
Yeah, I know you were just warming up. That's why we need 3 hours, buddy. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll still get there.
Just want to remind the listening audience, tomorrow we definitely want to tune in. Whilst it is a transition away from the nomination and the individual candidates, it will be a political issue. And one that is certainly an important issue. Tomorrow's guest in studios with us will be local psychiatrist Dr. Mark Lockhart, and he will help us to better understand the alarming youth mental health crisis that is gripping this country. Certainly shocked both my colleague and I when we read the news story, and we were committed to engaging it further. So tomorrow at 5 o'clock here on Straight Talk, we hope you'll tune in for that conversation. But for now, that's all the time we have for
And
today.
let me just stick this.
You have 20 seconds.
I want to say, make your list of all the things that are required and tune in tomorrow right here on 103.1 with 2 favorite talk show hosts, Austin and Ellio.
Quite right. Couldn't have said it better if I said it myself.
Thank you.
Thank you, K-Man, for joining us. Starting off your week right. Be sure to tune in to Straight Talk each and every weekday evening from 4:30 right here on Bobo 103.1 FM.
The BBC on Bobo. This is the BBC World Service. Across Cayman